Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to do a switchless mod in a Sega Saturn. To do this we're going to use a PIC 16F630 PIC chip, a bicolor LED, a razor blade, a 0.1 microfarad ceramic capacitor, a glue gun, soldering iron, electrical tape, some scraps of wire we've got, our solder of course, and our PIC programmer to program Seb's code onto the PIC 16F630, and a Sega Saturn of course, which we're going to open up and disassemble now. Right, so we've got the main board fully disassembled now, fully out of the machine. If we flip the board over and we turn it this way, in this area here, next to this controller port, you'll see the jumpers. Let me put the lens on and get you close up. So you can see the jumpers. What we need to do is remove the 0 ohm resistor, it's just a bridge, on JP7, this one on JP10, this one, and the one on JP12, this one. So we're going to start with JP7. I'm just going to hit the solder point and try and lift the 0 ohm resistor with a razor blade. So we'll try JP12 first. So I'm just putting pressure on with the razor blade and then melting the solder. Right, that's JP12 off, and it hit me in the head, it went flying. So you can see JP12's off. Now JP10, which is the last resistor we need to remove. We've got more room to work now, JP12's gone as well. So I'm just melting both sides, most solder pads either side of the resistor, and applying pressure. And that one's gone. It's set on the end of the iron. I don't know if you can see that. So that's those 3 points removed. Right, before I solder anything on, I'm going to continue with the things we need to desolder. So just above our jumpers are all here, and just above to the right, this is a green LED on the front. We want to remove the LED. Just hitting the old pad till it melts and pushing down to try and push the old leg out. Trying with the nail and those pliers, see if you can't get a grip of it. So I'm pulling with the needle nose pliers now underneath and melting the solder above. This would be a lot easier with desolder braid or a solder sucker, which I don't have either of them at the minute. Let's try and hit both legs at the same time. And it fell out there, I heard it go. Move the board over, and there you can see that's the green LED. Right, one last thing we want to do before we start soldering anything in is, this is the reset button here. This thing here, switch number 3, this is the reset button. In between this resistor here and this point here, there's a trace connecting the two, and I want to cut it with this razor blade. So you want to hold the board firm, and you don't want to slip with your hand, because if you slip with your hand you could go and cut through all these traces here. So very delicately and very carefully we're going to cut in between the two white lines. So in between switch 3, the first point, and the point on the resistor, we've got a cut on the board. But yeah, that's that point severed. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to program the microchip, the IC, and then we can start soldering wires to it. Right, so now we're ready to program our chip. If you see the picture here, well, we've selected 16F630 here. Here it shows us how to install it into our programmer. If you see our programmer there, that's how we've got the chip installed. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click, we've loaded the hex, I'll show you loading it again, load, enumera, blah. So this is Seb's code, and we're just going to click program. Yes. Yes. And it's programming now. And programming complete there. So what we can do is we'll just click verify to make sure it's done that, and it reads the chip back. So data verified. So there we go, that's the chip programmed. Now let's get on with our soldering. Right, so I'm ready to begin soldering in now. Unfortunately I didn't have enough Kino wire, so what I'm doing is I'm using a piece of ribbon cable off an old parallel IDE cable. So just got 3 wires here, well 3 strips of it. So basically on point JP7 where we move the resistor, we want to solder to these 2 points here to bridge them over. Same on JP10, these 2, and same on JP12, these 2. There we go. So that's JP7, JP6 and 7 middle points bridged. So lined up there, let's try. There we go. So that's JP10 in. 11 and 10 bridge. And there he's in. Middle 2 points of JP6 and 7 joined. Middle 2 points of JP10 and 11. And the middle 2 points of JP12 and JP13. Now this is how I'm going to glue it. So from those points, coming along, folding over there and up round. On the top side of the board, I think we're going to place our chip on top of our IC on top of this chip here, which gives us access then to get down to this reset button and run a wire over to the video chip for the 50-60 Hz. So the 3 jumpers on the reverse, by the way, they do region, so depending on what setting they are, tells the system that it's either Japanese, American or European, and then that pin up here is 50-60 Hz for the different refresh rates. So all this is going to be controlled by this reset button here, depending on how long you hold it. Like if you tap it, you'll see when it's done. So anyway, let's flip it over and let's begin gluing this first cable in. First bit of glue there. Next bit of glue here. Right, so that's how we're gluing that. Glued there, glued there, glued there. Now, if I show you the case, you can see it's coming out here now. On the base of the case, this is where it's going to come up. We're going to take out this tab here. Well, the same as we did on the Dreamcast. So just bend that little bit of metal there, so that the wires have got somewhere to come through. It's going to come now. And it's off there. So we're going to glue our IC onto this chip here with the dot of the IC, if you can make it out, at the top end, so it's this way. I bent the legs up and made sure they're not going to hit any of the pins on the chip beneath. So we're going to use a tiny bit of glue and glue that in place there now. Lift up our IC, just a line of glue, and just push it on and hold it there for a few seconds. It won't take long to dry, it's done now. Show you what I'm doing there. I'm just mapping that wire so it goes in between these 2 chips and comes up to the pins at that side, because that's where they're going to solder to. So I'm just going to glue that in place quickly now. We're soldering to the 3 bottom legs on this IC, so we're going to cut the wire short. Alright, so this wire here is our JP12, this one's our JP10, and this one's our JP7. So, in order on the IC, the bottom leg is 12, this one's 10, and this one's 7. So they're in the right order. So I'm just going to bear this about here and solder it onto this this pin here, leg here. What I'm going to do first though, let me just bend this back. Of course I'm going to put some solder on the chip legs. Apply solder. Heat the leg, apply solder. There we go. So that's all those legs tinned. Some nice fresh solder. Right, so just cut those 3 wires to size and tinned them. Go with JP12 first. Let's move these 2 out of the way. Bend them that way for a second. Alright, so that's JP12 in. Alright, next we'll do JP10. There we go, so that's a much better solder point. And now we'll do the last one, which is JP7. There we go, so that's JP7 in. So that's the 3 jumper points in. Next up we're going to solder the reset button here. So this top left point, and we've got a piece of Kynar wire which will fit. We much prefer using Kynar. We just didn't have long enough pieces to go to the underside with those jumper points. So first thing first, we're going to put a bit of fresh solder down on the point. Heat the point with that iron and bring solder to it. Like so, so we've got a nice pool of solder on that point now. Now what we're going to do is reheat that point and attach our Kynar wire to it. Like so. Nice and secure. And then we're going to run this Kynar wire up like this. It's going to the second pin. Right, so let's solder this guy in now. That's our reset cabling. And then we'll bring this down. So remember where I cut that trace? We're going to the resistor now. Right, so now we're soldering at that resistor. Again, what I want to do is just put a tiny bit of new fresh solder down. There we go, so we've got a tiny bit of fresh solder on it there. Like that. We've got a little tug and it's secure. We've got the 3 jumper cables in. We've got 1 wire going to the reset button and another wire going to the reset switch, which is that resistor there. Next what we have to do is, if you saw my 50-60 Hz switch where we lifted pin 79 on the 160 pin IC, the video chip, we're going to do that again. Because this mod is going to set region and it's also going to set video refresh rate. Slot our razor blade in between leg 78 and leg 79. You know when you're in properly. Like so. Apply some outward pressure, like so. And then just gently heat the point. There we go. So it lifted there. Heat up a bit more. I can't quite lift it free yet. What I did is I lifted it up, but then it's soldered. The solder that was holding it to the board has soldered it to leg 80. So we're gonna heat it up a bit more. And a bit more. So as you can see, it's lifted that leg free, which you can't really see from that angle, but let me change the camera around so you're looking at the board angle, the board level. Just try and get out of the shadow of it as well. You can see there it's lifted up and free. If we come at this angle, that angle, there you go, you can see it freestanding. So what we're going to do is we're going to solder to that now. Tiny amount of fresh solder. Like so. There we go. That was very tricky. It was trickier than last time. It's not supposed to be easy though. That's that point soldered on there. And what I'm going to do again is the same as last time, is apply glue to it before we go any further. Right, so my glue gun's hot enough. So the idea, again as last time, is we want to get under it with the glue gun. Like so. A tiny piece separately just to hold it on at the bottom. Soldering our 50-60 Hz cable. There we go, that's that cable in. So next up we're going to put in our ceramic capacitor, which is this guy. And this guy goes from the top leg here to the top leg here. Right, so while we're going to solder in this capacitor, we may as well put the solder on this side of the chip where it needs it. So it needs it on this top leg here, where the capacitor is going to go, and 5 volts is also going to go to. There we go. That's better. There we go. Like so. Bend it down for this side. That'll do it. Right, so that's our ceramic disc in. We want to sit it on the board there where the old one was, and because of its shape we need to bend it. So I'll do this. Easiest way of bending these is get it onto a flat surface like this, just pull up like that. Let's do some more. Pull up like that. So there we've got it how we want it. Obviously we can't just place this down on the board here, because what will happen is it will bridge a load of points. That's the way we will go with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to shorten all the legs and put some tape down. We'll put the tape down first. Right, so we've got some tape down there. What we'll do is we'll solder our wires on, then we'll glue it in place. Because 5 volts could end up killing this resistor, or this LED, and it'll definitely shorten its life. What we're going to do is we're going to solder on a 220 ohm resistor onto this leg and a 220 ohm resistor onto this leg. Don't need one on ground. So one on red and green. Right, so we'll go for the first one. There we go, that's the first resistor in. There we go. Like so. Just sit like that. Okay, I'll put it right there. like so. So there you can see we've got the ground cable going in the middle pin. If you saw my other video, you remember on this pin header here, these two legs are ground. It goes 9 volt, 5 volt, 9 volt, 5 volt, 3.3 volt, ground, ground. So we're going to go to this ground. That's the first step. We want to apply solder to the ground leg, like that. So plenty of glue down there, in the right position there. Kind of let those resistors flat now as well, like so. Right, so that's the LED glued in place. Let's solder it in. That's the ground cable in. Like so. Right, so now we're going to solder on the wire for the red LED onto this resistor. There we go. That's the red one on. Show you that. So we've got a wire going for the green one, and then the wire going for the red one. I'm just going to glue this down now and get it coming up to the IC. There we go, that's red in. That's green in. Right, now we need a voltage cable. First step, we'll solder it onto the IC while the camera's still here. Like so. Put it in place there and solder it in. Like so. Give it a light tug. Right, so that's voltage in. Right, so let's have a look at this. So we've got our IC here, we've got our 3 cables going to the jumper point on the reverse of the board, we've got this cable and this cable coming down to the reset button here and the switch here on the resistor, like so and so. Then we've got on this side, we've got these two coming to the resistor legs with a 220 ohm resistor going to each one so it doesn't blow the LED. In the centre, which is a common ground, we've got it going to the ground pin here. Then from this one here, we've got 5 volts coming along, giving it 5 volts. Bridging these 2 points here, well not bridging them but going across them, we've got a 0.1 microfarad capacitor, and coming from this leg we've got a 50-60 Hz cable going to pin 79 on the video IC. So that's the basic setup done. Let's reassemble and test it. Right, so I've almost finished reassembling this Saturn, but what I want to do is place my mud chip in for my other Sega Saturn, this Sega Saturn. But because you've seen me install a mud chip twice now, I'm not going to show that. So through the power of video editing, ta-da! So that was nice and easy. Right, so let's just finish off by putting the lid on. Right, so that's the unit fully reassembled. I'm going to go set it up and then we'll show you testing it. So back in a second. I've got it all set up now. If I just show you turning it on, see LED's green and it boots up like normal. and we'll put a PAL game in, a European PAL game. Open up the system, drive tower open, put the disc in. You see, check your disc format, start application. So it says it's a PAL game. Now, this is what the new functionality is. If I hold this reset button, and if you watch the LED, it goes off, goes back on green, goes to orange. Now that mode is set to American, so if I turn off the system and turn it back on, still with our PAL game inside, see, now it says game disc unsuitable for this system. Right, so if we do it again and we switch it into Japanese, which is the red LED colour, and we'll put in a Japanese game, like so, Dodonpachi, Japanese, we pop it in. Now we actually have to reboot it because it's still in American mode, even though we've set it to Japanese, and when we power it off, when we power cycle back on, now it's Japanese because it sets the region on boot. So now you see, it'll just boot this game as if it was a Japanese Sega Saturn, straight away booting. So that's the new functionality we've added. If we hold it, if we hold the reset button for less than a second, it'll change the video mode between 50Hz and 60Hz. It's in 60Hz currently, as you can see it's in full screen. So let's have a quick bash on this. So yeah, you can see it works flawlessly. So this is our new mod, which means you don't need the Action Replay 4-in-1 card anymore unless you're using games that need the RAM expansion. So we've got the Ultimate Saturn mod now. It's a completely universal Saturn. You can play games from all three regions without an Action Replay. Right, so I'm going to play some Dodonpachi. If you've enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe, and join us next time when we do a modification to a Mega Drive. So bye everybody.